Welcome back. We're doing Warrior. This is the Scholomance Academy card tier list valuation stream. I'm ADWCTA.
This is Merps. Hello. What's next?
Warrior! Warriors always get good cards, so they should get good cards here. And the first card is rated at 214, which sounds really impressive, but it's a weapon. So it's competing with a whole bunch of weapons that are all rated above 150. So,
Yeah,
it's good, but really, weapons are just really good. So it's just the best weapon out of all the other really good weapons. And the best weapon only if you don't count Imprisoned Gennard.
Imprisoned Gennard. Still good. Still winning games on turn one.
So Reaper Scythe is a 4-mana 4/2 weapon. It has a spell burst. And remember, for weapons, you can just hold on to the weapon, and if you don't use it, you can trigger the spell burst at a later time whenever you want. Spell burst also damages adjacent minions this turn. So it's a cleave that you can trigger when you want with a spell later on. Nearly impossible to play around. You're just kind of trying to figure out if you can stick enough small spells and just spells that you can generally play, right? It's not like Warriors have spells that deal damage and stuff, but you don't want Assassinate. Because what are you going to do? Assassinate and then also deal damage to 3 minions? That's not going to happen. You want to play a spell that's 1 mana, discover a minion, right? That's what you want to be doing.
Yep. All right. Next card is Playmaker. Playmaker is a 3-mana 4/3 standard stats. After you play Rush Minion, summon a copy with 1 health remaining. So look, anytime you play a Rush Minion, and there's quite a few Rush Minions, you just get extra Rush. That's good.
Mm-hmm.
If you are able to proc this once, that's really good. So it's getting a lot of points for the effect. It's a 156.
Yeah, it's an on curve, fully on curve 3-drop.
It's a fully on curve 3-drop, and unlike some other cards which require kind of some combo or synergy potential, this is pretty cheap. 3 mana is pretty cheap, such that you can play this and play something else on the same turn, which holds back some other cards. Like if we're talking about, let's say, for example, Onyx Mage Scribe, that's a 6-mana card. So if you're playing that and then trying to, proc a spell, well, that's much later on. So yeah, Playmaker is easier for you to combo. You don't give up any stats. It's just properly it's just pure bonus.
And a card called Restless Mummy exists, just in case people forget.
Restless Mummy.
You Playmake the Restless Mummy. You get a 3/1 Rush Reborn that reborns again, right? And then you have your existing mummy that reborned.
No, it's stupid, right? So you have the Restless Mummy. You also have the Murloc Rush on 4. There's just good rushes on 4, which obviously is taken account, right? If all 4 mana rushes sucked, then the score of this would be lower as well. But you have Restless Mummy, which is perfect. It's so perfect with this card. And that's a common card that you're always drafting anyways. So yeah, if you get out if you get out Playmaker on 3 and it sticks, and then you play Restless Mummy on 4, you just win the game. It's so broken that you just win the game from that alone.
All right, next up is Troublemaker. Everyone's like, is Troublemaker a 200 card? Troublemaker's not a 200 rated card. Troublemaker's a 144 rated card. For the record, Twin Tyrant is 137 in Warrior. Troublemaker is better than Twin Tyrant, but not by that much. It's an 8 mana 6/8 instead of a 8 mana 4/10. And instead of dealing 4 damage twice immediately, it says at the end of your turn, summon 2 3/3 ruffians that attack random enemies, which includes the enemy hero. So you could just end up with 3/3s that aren't hitting things. They could hit the wrong things, but the Twin Tyrant one could hit the wrong things. And you get more if it lives. But for the most part, if your Twin Tyrant is living, you're in pretty good shape too. So,
yeah, it's good. And once again, I think the Twin Tyrant comparison is apt, right? And so yeah, is it better than Twin Tyrant? Sure, it is. There's some things that are not perfect about the card that hold it back. Part of it is just it's end of turn, right? Like Twin Tyrant is helped out by the fact that it is the beginning of or it's whenever you play it, so you can resolve, right? You can do a lot of your resolving. There's a sort of a mystery behind the Troublemaker. Like you can't trade and then be like, well, okay, now it'll just clear, because you don't know. It could just go face, or it could hit the minion when you want to go. A lot of things. You just don't exactly know what's going to happen with it. And all of these things hold it back a little bit from being ridiculously good. And once again, it's really hard for an 8-mana card to be that high, right? So if you want, you can compare Troublemaker to a lot of other cards that cost 8 mana, and you'll see that it wins. It's the best that there is. But yeah, it's not going to compete with those like premium weapons and stupid Imprisoned Gennarg at a 223, because Imprisoned Gennarg wins games starting on turn 1.
Yep.
That's it.
All right. Next is Ceremonial Maul. We talked about it in Paladin. 3 mana 2/2 spell weapon. Spell burst. Summon a student with taunt that with stats equal to the spell's cost. Not much more to say here. This is significantly worse than the one in Paladin because warriors have more weapons. Can't just hold it around. Warriors also have worse spells and smaller spells. Like it all makes it worse. Next card is Steel Dancer, the first rogue warrior card we're looking at. 4 mana 4/4, Battle Cry. Summon a random minion with cost equal to your weapon's attack. So, warriors, unlike rogues, have generally higher attack weapons. They're harder to do. You don't get a guaranteed dagger, but you're going to summon a potentially pretty good thing. Like, imagine if you Gennarg on 1, the Gennarg pops out on turn 3, you use the weapon. Now on turn 4, you still have your last remaining charge of the War Axe. You play this, you get a 4/4 and a 3/3 on turn 4. And that's a very normal combo that is undisruptible. Just to give you an idea of what Steel Dancer could do. 132. I mean, that involves putting a Gennarg on 1. But it's a lot of stats.
All right, what's next?
Information. Information is a 2 mana card that adds 2 random taunt minions to your hand. It's a 121. 2 mana, 2 cards. That's pretty good. But they're random minions, so it's not that good.
Great analysis. Wow. I mean, that's all there is to it. 2 random taunt minions are not great.
Yeah.
End of story. They could be okay. On average, you're gonna get like 1 decent sized one, and the other one is like,
Frostwolf Grunt.
Yeah. But you generate cards. That's not a bad thing.
All these new like warrior spells are just like spell burst triggers, really. They gave warriors like a whole crap ton of small mana like spells.
Yep. Okay. Next we have Coerced.
Nah, athletic studies.
Huh?
Athletic studies is next at 108. It's 1 mana. Discover a rush minion. Your next one costs 1 less. Like all the other studies. 108. It's not great. You have a lot of rush already. Like with warrior, I feel like you oftentimes get into the point where your rush minions have nowhere to go. Like they stop rushing because you already have a weapon. You already have other rush minions. And yeah.
Yep. Next we have Coerced. I think some people would be surprised at how low this is.
Coerce, destroy a damaged minion. What's execute?
118.
So it's a little worse than execute because it's 3 mana. Combo, destroy any minion. So you're trying to use it for the combo. You need a bunch of small things to be able to like make it actually trigger the combo amount.
I don't know. This seems weird. This is a score that seems weird to me.
Assassinate is a 147. Assassinate is no longer a 147, and it's also in a different class. If you look at Chowen, let's see what Chowen Yeti is in Warrior. Because Warriors have so many weapons that have really high ratings, it's always one of the class with this one. Actually, Chowen Yeti's 113 here, so that's pretty normal. I don't know. Like, are you really going to pull off the combo like super often in a time when the 2 mana matters?
Yeah, that's the thing. So for those of you guys that think this is insanely wrong, I don't think this is insanely wrong. I think it's a little bit wrong. I don't think it's insanely wrong. This is not like if you think it's a 150, I disagree with you.
Yeah,
I
it's
don't
definitely
think it's
not a 150.
But there's no way combo destroy minion is that low. No. You guys think combo is way easier than it is for warrior. Combo, there's a reason that combo just works for rogue. Rogue has a lot of ways.
It's not even that easy for rogue in arena.
It's not even that easy, but it is easier, right? It's definitely harder for warrior. So if you guys think that it's like a 150, no, it's not. But I do think it's higher than a 105.
I think all of our combo, like the combos, people may feel are a little low. It's just we really don't like the algorithm really doesn't like you being forced to play 2 cards because it automatically means that you're spending a lot of like mana on stuff, or you need random 1 mana 2 mana cards that can be like played, but you've already played your 1 mana 2 mana cards on the curve, so you need to like draw more of it. So would I rather have a coerce or an execute? I don't know. I don't think they're that far apart on the tier list.
I don't think they're that far apart, and I think that coerce's potential might push it a little bit higher. I saw some. Okay, once. All right, yeah. To the person that said 250, no.
Yeah, most people in chat think 120.
That's fine.
Maybe the overall combo is a little low right now. Where like all the combo cards you'll see in rogue, like kidnappers under a 100. We'll look into like generally like how combos working. We just had to fix it, and maybe we didn't fully fix it.
That this is too far off. Once again, I think this is something good to discuss as well in terms of if you think about how hard it is to combo generally, and obviously we're talking about rogue, not this warriors don't usually have combo cards. It's not as easy as people think it is. Number one, and that's for rogue. And then once you translate that to warrior, that's definitely not like super easy to do. So yeah, and a lot of the times, whenever you have something like coerce, in that you have to look at the times in which the thing that you want to destroy isn't damaged anyways. So because if you look at the Venn diagram of times in which it's like, yeah, like I want to destroy this, but it was damaged anyways, in which it doesn't matter, right? So it has to matter.
It has to matter, and you have to not have something that's small enough that it wouldn't be worth a mana, right? Like if you have a 1/1 or a 2/2 on the board, then it's probably not worth the extra mana.
So yeah, that's really sort of the things that are holding back. Now, like I agree with you guys. I think it should be a little bit higher. So maybe something's going on with it. Maybe it isn't. Maybe all of you guys are wrong. But I agree with you guys mostly. I think it should be a little bit higher. But maybe not. Maybe not.
All right. Moving on, Shield of Honor is a 97 in Warrior, where it's a little easier to get things damaged. Shield of Honor is the 1 mana, give a damage minion +3 attack and Divine Shield.
Yeah. Also, it's the Divine Shield it's something that's a little bit more rare in Warrior, right? Like, you don't just have
You'll never try to hit a minion that already has Divine Shield. Although then that minion can't be damaged, so I don't know. I don't think that's mattering. Next card is Cutting Class, 5 mana. 5 mana, draw 2 cards, cost 1 less per attack of your weapon. This one is also shared with Rogue. For Warrior, if you have something like Arcanine Reaper, it is free, which is pretty good. If you have something like a Fiery War Axe, it is 2 mana, which is also pretty good. But you now are forced to play this card while that weapon is still active, and you need the weapons. So, this is Arena. You know how drafting Warriors go. Sometimes you get the weapons, sometimes you don't get the weapons. So if you can't get the weapons, and you also don't want to like when you're tempoing, you don't want to spend 2 mana to draw 2 cards, right? That's just not something you want to do. So it's kind of situational. It just forces you to do a lot of things you don't really want to do. And then if you just wait for it and try to play it when you actually want to play it, it may just end up costing 5 mana, and then it's really bad.
Yep. That's basically it. Like, when it's bad, it's so bad.
Mm-hmm. And you're not gonna wait for it till you get a weapon to synergize with it, right? Like, if it's bad, like when you need to draw cards at the end, you need to draw cards.
Yeah, that's the thing. When you want to draw cards, you really want to draw cards, and the situations in which it's bad are so much, like, they hurt you so much more than the situations in which they're good.
All right, next is Commencement. That Warrior Paladin card, 7 mana, summon a minion from your deck, give it Taunted Divine Shield. It is terrible. It's 48. It's still terrible here. Paladins, Warriors, doesn't matter. It's a constructed card where you get to figure out what minions to put in your deck. You don't get to do that in the arena, so don't pick it. Moving on to the legendaries. Legendary. There are 3 legendaries and warriors. They are all really, really good. We will start from the bottom. The bottom is a 150 card. It is a 5 mana 4/4 rush, Dr. Krastanov. Whenever this attacks, give your weapon +1/+1. That's +1/+1. That's 1 durability, not just 1 attack. So, 5 mana 4/4 rush, not particularly great. You get 1 buff out of this, it's pretty damn good. Especially on a warrior weapon.
Like, this is really good. You're not always going to have a weapon. Not always. So, if you always had a weapon, like, if you could always guarantee that you had a weapon in hand, well, first of all, warriors would be a lot better. Just generally. But the score would be higher. So sometimes you just got to play as a 5 mana 4/4 rush, in which case it kind of sucks. That's basically it.
All right. After that, you have Lord Varov, which is the one that shares with Paladin. The 3 mana 3/2 Battlecry, set the health of all other minions to 1. Death Rattle, deal 1 damage to all minions. Super delayed.
Oh god,
Twisting Nether, all the stuff.
We're coming to the card.
Yep.
No.
So we know Lord Barrow. We talked about it in Paladin. We're not going to talk about it more here. But for Warrior, which doesn't have board clears, it's pretty damn good. Legend Heart in chat says surprised it isn't higher in Warrior. Maybe we should make it higher in Warrior. You want to make it higher in Warrior? The algorithm's not doing anything with this. The algorithm can't connect the 2 abilities.
This is something we excluded out because it would take so much time. Yeah. So sure, maybe it's higher. It's one of the things is, like, once again, when we talk about what is really the difference between like 180 and 200 or whatever.
See, because Paladins have more like tokens that you can just run into the stuff, right? After you set their health to
Yeah,
1.
it's a give and take. You know, like there's different ways for paladins and warriors to benefit
Yeah.
off of these like the unique thing that Lord Varov does, right? So I don't know. I don't exactly know if it's necessarily higher for warrior. I'm not sure.
Let's make it a 190 at least.
Okay, fine.
Yeah,
I
raise
agree.
the score. You hear that, ZD man? You still up?
Oh god. Okay. Sure. Whatevs. I don't care. Let's talk about the legendary that I am not for.
Yeah, ZD man's in chat. It's gonna be a 190, guys. You guys moved the score of this card up by 10 points.
Sure. Whatever. Okay. Let's talk about a card in which we typically don't discuss legendaries that much, as you see from my lack of caring about Lord Varov, right? We identified Lord Varov as really good, and that's it. This next card, Rattle Gore, is a card that I'm going to leave it to ADWCTA to explain this score. I am not for it. And there's always one of these every expansion, which I just don't understand. And I hate on it. And ADWCTA is sticking to his guns. What's Rattle Gore? Tell us the score and why it is the way it is.
So we calculated this one like a million times over in different ways. We changed stuff happened. Rattle Gore is a 203. ZD Man in chat says, when I first implemented it, it was over 700. Yes, that's when it was bugged. And then there were more bugs.
Here's the thing. I think some people in chat are just like, yeah, this is the score it should be. It is that broken. I don't think it's
that broken. This is Pyros again. Exactly. People in chat are like, this is Pyros again. This is exactly the Pyros-like card. It's like Pyros, but on the board. All right, here's what Rattle Gore is. First of all, he looks awesome. Second of all, the 9 mana 9/9, so like not exactly on curve, but close. Death Rattle. Resummon this with -1/-1. So it's like a Russian doll situation where the 9/9 pops out at 8/8, pops out at 7/7, pops out at 6/6. It's like Gorehowl, right? Except you don't take any damage, and then it also possibly lives for more than one turn, like whereas you just use it up with Gorehowl each turn. Gorehowl's amazing. The only difference is, one, Gorehowl can be played earlier, so you'd much rather this card be a 7/7 and 7 mana and do this, right? But it's not. That would be even more OP. And two, Gorehowl has that reach at any point, whereas this guy is one delayed on the reach, right? Like, he'll have reach the next turn, but not the turn that you play it. And Gorehowl's a 170, and Gorehowl blocks all your other weapons. So, if you wonder why Rattle Gore is so freaking big and so freaking good, it's not because the algorithm thinks it's getting like a lot of bodies out of it. It's because the algorithm knows what you do with this minion. And you know what you do with this minion? You go face. This is the highest reach card in the entire game, beating out Pyroblast. I'll say that again. Rattle Gore, not a card advantage card. It's definitely not a tempo card. It's a reach card. It creates the inevitability that you will win the game by hitting your opponent's face. And your opponent, unless they happen to have a Hex or Polymorph, cannot ever get rid of it. So they are going to run out of taunts. And you also have other stuff, right? This isn't even that off curve. And then they are going to die. This is the inevitability of a lot of reach once your opponent runs out of taunts. And if your opponent doesn't run out of taunts, well, you're eating one of their taunts every single turn. They're going to run out of cards and tempo at that point. So, as long as you can survive for like a turn or two after you get this minion on the board, which if you are ahead, you definitely can. If you're fighting for the board, you most likely can. If you're behind, yeah, this guy's not going to do all that much. But there's so many cards where if you're behind, the card doesn't do all that much. You will just win the game. In a meta where everybody has a bajillion cards, where there are huge, ridiculous swings, which, you know, this is the new Hearthstone meta. Having the inevitability of a victory through reach with a backup of card advantage and having pretty good tempo, ridiculous. This is the better version of Pyros. This is what Pyros could never be. I want a Pyros at 300. I don't necessarily want this guy at 300, but I'd probably put him higher than 200. He's a 203 right now because we literally had to cap his reach. We're like, you know what? I understand that he's very good at reach, but we're just gonna, because we don't really have a way to like calculate just how much health your opponent necessarily has. So it's like kind of this exponentially scaling function for how much dealing more damage is worth on the reach, and then that gets descaled by your chances your opponents has like taunts and heals and like just generally delay because you could die in the delay. So it's calculating all of that. But we like just kind of drew a line and we're like, you know what? Past this much damage, it's not going to matter because their opponent won't have that much health. And if we didn't draw that line, this card would be like over a 250. It'd be like a 250 something. So I don't know if we should have drawn that line. We ultimately just got a little uncomfortable that this card was getting so much value for reach when it has 0 initiative. But yeah, so that's this card. I stand by it. I think it's going to be a super premium card. I've seen what other streamers rated it. I know a lot of people think this is barely better than a Yeti, but they're wrong. They're just flat out wrong.
Okay. I don't know about that one, but we'll see. It doesn't do anything when it comes out.
Yeah, but then it does everything the turns after. It doesn't just do one thing the turn after. It does everything the turn after.
No. It doesn't do everything. It attacks once.
Yes.
That's what it does.
That's a lot of things.
That's not a lot. It's one thing.
Mm-hmm. We'll see. We'll see. I mean, you know, it's no Paladin card, but it's pretty good. That's all I mean.
All right.
It's also a really good counter to that Paladin legendary. Can you imagine? He's like, haha, I got you. And you're like, all right, I'm at 8-8 now. You have 9 health. I can make this work. Brian Rampage says it puts like a 3-turn timer on the game. Yeah, like if your opponent doesn't have taunts and stuff, it's a 3-turn from nearly full health. Like the reach on this thing is insane.
All right. Well, we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, but just wanted to let people know why this card is what it is. Not because of the tempo. The card advantage is not that like what is it? Colossus? I think it's like a 70 or something. Where's Colossus? In Warrior. Like Colossus in Warrior is not. Yeah, it's a 71. But Colossus also only has a total of like 13 health. So this one has way more health and comes out 1 turn sooner. But it's not like a huge card advantage thing. Card advantage is a lot, but the vast majority of its value is reach.
Okay. All right. We shall see. All right. We shall see. The interesting thing about this card is that I think there are some people like me that are just like, there's no way this is 200. And I think there are some people which are just like, wait, yeah, of course this is 200.
Mm-hmm.
Of course it's 200. And it is really interesting to have a card that you see both sides. Like people are just like, oh yeah, duh, it's 200. And then there are people like me that are just like, I don't see it. I don't get it.
Dark Side in chat says, would it resummon as 8-8 or 2-2 after getting hit by the Paladin Legendary? Never mind, okay? Paladins are just too good. It would get resummoned as a 2-2. Right?
Yeah.
Because it would be a 3-3 when it dies.
Well, okay, then there's a reason that that card is rated higher than Rattle Gore.
There you have it. Countered. I thought this card would counter that, but it does not. It just gets wrecked. It just gets wrecked. Oh, God. Paladins. Frickin' Paladins.
Okay. Cool.
Alright. That's Paladins. Let's give some shout outs and move on to the next class.
That's not Paladin, that's Warrior.
Oh, sorry. I mean, really, everything's Paladins. These other classes we're doing don't matter.
These are the victims of Paladins.
Yes.
Okay. You give some shout outs.
I give some shout outs. All right. I want to give a shout out to everyone watching this on YouTube. Please hit the like button. Please subscribe. Please remember that now our arena coops are going to be premiered on YouTube. So it's like a new showing, like just like a Twitch experience, and they'll also be on YouTube regularly, like normal. And arena coops are coming back. They're going to be back on Sunday when we do our first coop in this new meta. We're also going to be playing arena for like a lot, most, if not all, of our streams for the near future. So yeah, you're gonna get some 12 wins too, hopefully, unless we totally suck. Like if you don't see 12 wins, that either means that Soren is not on top of things, and he's really on top of things. So I don't think that's gonna be it. It just means we suck then, and we're not getting any 12 wins in this meta. So hopefully some 12 wins come up relatively soon after the game is released. And yeah, just thank you guys on YouTube for watching. Share our YouTube with a friend or our Twitch channel, depending. Yeah, just thank you to all the viewers. All right.